In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to find the derivative of a composite function. Now, whenever we are asked to find the derivative of a composite function, the method that we can actually make use of to find the derivative is going to be a function of function, or in some cases they call it chain rule, right? Now, in that case, suppose y is equals to what? Is equals to u, right? That is, y as a function depend on what? On u, and u here in this case is also another function which in turns depend on what? On x, right? So in that case, in order for us to find the derivative of the composite function, in that case, that basically means if y is equals to u, and then u is what? Is equals to x, that is, u also depend on what? On x. That basically means the y by what? By the x is going to be equal. We are going to find the derivative of y with respect to u, right? That's the first thing we are going to do, and that's going to give us what? That's going to give us the y by what? By du. Then multiply by what? Here, as you are going to have the u with respect to x, that's going to give us what? Du by what? By the x. So that at the end of the everyday, we're going to cancel the u out, and we're going to have what? The y by what? By the x. That's basically what it means. It is basically called function of function. And I'm going to solve some question for you guys, and then we're going to see how it's going to be. Now, let's take a look at this question I'm having here. We are given y equals to 1 divided by root of 3x minus 4. So agree with me, I can actually rewrite the expression as 1 divided by what? We're going to have 3x minus 4 raised by what? Of 1 over 2. And at the same time, I can write as what? As 3x minus 4 raised by what? Of minus 1 over 2. Now, if you look at this very well, I'm going to use what? Composite function, because in this case, my y is equal 3x minus 4 raised by what? Of 1 over 2. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to say, let u represent 3x minus 4, right? That's so that in this case, everything here is going to become what? Is going to come y equals what? U. And if you remember earlier, I said y depend on what? On another function u, which u has to actually depend on what? On another what? Variable x here, right? So this is a composite function, because we actually what? We actually substitute a value here. We actually substitute what? 3x minus 4 to be what? To be u, and u in that case depend on what? On x, right? So in that case, I'm going to go ahead and find the y with respect to what? To u, and at the same time, I'm going to what? I'm going to find what's it called? The u with respect to what? To x. So in that case, I'm going to have 1 over 2 here, right? Minus 1 over 2 rather. That's exactly what I'm going to have here. Minus 1 over 2. So from there, if I find what? Dy by what? By du, this is going to give me minus 1 over 2 u raised by what? Minus 1 over 2. Then I'm going to have subtract 1 here, right? So in that case, I'm going to have dy by what? By du to be equal. Here is going to be minus 1 over 2. Then u raised by what? This is going to give me minus 3 over 2. That's what we're going to have. So from there, we can actually go ahead and what? And let me say, find the u with respect to x here in this case. So we're going to have the u divided by what? The x to be equal 3 in this case, because if we find the derivative of 3x, it is 3, and minus 4 is actually what? 0. So in that case, I can actually go ahead and recall that is, for every composite function, I'm going to have the y by what? By the x to be equal du dx, right? Then multiply what? Dy by what? By du, or vice versa actually. So that's sorry, dy by du rather, so that what? Du can actually what? Cancel each other out. That's what we're going to have. So, and that's basically what? Composite function. So I'm going to have dy by what? By du in this case. So the next thing I'm going to do is that, since I've already established that dy by du in this case is going to be minus 1 over 2 u raised by what? Minus 3 over 2. So let me just go ahead and cut this out so that we can actually have space for us to write. So we're going to have something here. So let's see what we have here. So in that case now, if I follow this composite function formula, I'm going to have dy by the x equal du dx, that's 3, then multiply what? Dy by du. Dy by du is actually what? Minus 1 over 2 u raised by what? Minus 3 over 2. Then from here, I can actually recall, right? Recall that u is something. Recall that's what? That's, sorry, u is what? U is 3x minus 4. So I'm going to have dy by the x to be equal minus 3, right? I'm going to have, open a bracket here, 3x minus 4, all this power what, minus 3 over 2, then I'm going to have divided what, 2, and this is going to be the what, the answer. It's very simple. Now let's go ahead and what, and solve another question. Let's take a look at the next question I'm having here. The question says y equals to, open a bracket, 1 plus root of x all raised to the power of 3. Now what I'm going to do here is also I'm going to rehack this particular question in this form. I'm going to have it to be 1 plus x is power of 1 over 2. Then I'm going to have all this power of 3 here. Then in that case, I can actually say let u equal 1 plus x power of 1 over 2, right? And in that case, my y is going to becomes u raised power what, of 3, right? That's exactly what I'm going to have. So I cannot just go ahead and find the u by what, by the x. So I'm finding the u by the x. I'm going to have 1 over 2 x power minus 1 over 2. That's what I'm going to have, right? And then from there, I can go ahead and find the y by what, by du. The y by du in this case is going to give me 3u squared. Then from here, if you look at this expression very well, I can actually simplify it a little bit further. So that I'm going to have du by what, by the x to be equal 1 divided by what, 2 root x. That's exactly what I'm going to have it to be, because everything you're seeing here in this case is actually what, root of x, and in that case, that is actually what, sorry, 1 over root of x. That's what you are saying, everything here in this case, because it's still the same thing. I was taking the inverse of what, of root of x, right? So from here, I can actually go ahead and let me simply say, recall the what was it called? Okay, let me just go ahead and fix the value of what, of u here, so that in this case I'm going to have this word to be 3 into brackets 1 plus x power what, sorry, 1 plus x power 1 plus x power what of 1 over 2 all this power what of 3. That's what I'm going to have. So in that case, I'm going to have the y by what, by the x to be equal, here is going to be give me, I'm going to have this word 1 divided by what, 2 roots of what, of x, right? Then multiply what, I'm going to have this word with 3 into bracket 1 plus x power of 1 over 2 all this power what, of 3. Then if I go ahead and simplify a little bit further, I'm going to have this to be equal 3 1 plus x raised to the power of 1 over 2 all this power what, of 3, then divided by what, I'm going to have 2 root x, and this is going to be what, the answer. Now there are actually what, some tricks that I can actually apply to solve this question, and I'm going to get the answer. Now let's look at this. This is what I'm going to do. Let me simply cut this guy off here, right? So let me cut it off so I can have enough space. So if you look at this very well, what I can do here is that I can actually go ahead and bring down the 3, right? It is called, let me simply call it power function variable method, right? The first thing is that you're going to differentiate what, the power, then followed by what, by the function, then followed by what, by the variable. It's very simple, right? So in this case, that's that our dy by what, by the x is going to be equal. Now using power function variable, this is the power. I'm going to bring it down. If I'm bringing down, I'm going to have 3 into brackets 1 plus root of x all this power what, 2. That's the first thing. Then multiply by, this is multiply by function. Am I having any function? No, I'm not having any function. Whenever we talk about function here, that's why if I'm having any exponential function or trigonometric function in front of us of this exponent that we are seeing here, since I'm not having it, I'm going to bring that with the power, open a bracket 1 plus root of what, of x or root of what, of 2, because I'm going to subtract 1 here, and that's what I'm going to have. Then multiply what, function. I don't have any function here. Then here I'm going to multiply it by what, by the variable. The variable here that I'm seeing here is actually what, root of x. And if I'm going to differentiate root of x, root of x actually was x power 1 over 2, right? And it's still the same thing as writing was 1 over 2. If I find the derivative, I'm going to have 1 over 2 x power what, minus 1 over 2, which is also the same as writing 1 over 2 root x. So that's exactly what I'm going to have. I'm going to have 1 divided by what, 2 root x. If I differentiate with the function, which is a root of x, this is what I'm going to have. So I can just go ahead and simplify, so that I'm going to have divided by what, by the x to be equal. I'm going to have this to be 3 into brackets 1 plus what, root x all this power of what, of 2, then divided by what, I'm going to have 2 root x. So this should be the answer, right? This is going to be the answer. So that's just it. So now let's go ahead and try another question. Now in this case, I'm not going to stress myself using long method again. I'm going to use the short form. and that's going to be the power function multiply what variable. That's the method I'm going to use. So in that case, divided by the x, right, is going to be equal power first. You're going to bring down the 2. You're going to have 2 sine, right? You're going to have 2s squared plus 3 raised power 2 minus 1. That's going to give us 1. Then multiply by what function. Function in this case is actually what the sign that we are seeing here. So if I'm going to differentiate what the sign, whenever I'm asked to find the derivative of sine, and that's going to be what? That's going to be the cos, right? I'm going to have cos, open the bracket, 2s squared plus 3. That's what I'm going to have. Then multiply what's variable, everything that's inside here. So if I differentiate what this variable that you're seeing here, that's going to be what? That's going to be 4x plus 0, right? So it's still what? 4x. So let me just simplify this expression. I'm going to have what? Divided by the x, right, to be equal 2 multiplied by 4. That's going to give me what? 8x, right? Then sine 2s squared plus 3, right? Then I'm going to have cos 2s squared plus 3. So this is basically what the answer. And if you actually want to simplify further using trigonometry identity, you can go ahead and simplify further using trigonometry identity, right? But here, this is what this final answer. So that's good. That's just it. Now let's solve another question. Now let's look at this question. It's also very simple. I just need to go ahead and use the power function variable method, right? Power function and variable. So in that case, I'm going to bring out the power, show that I'm going to have divided by what? By the x to be equal. I'm going to have 4 open bracket s squared plus 3x, right? Then raised power what? Of 3, because you're going to subtract 1 here. So I'm going to have 3 multiply what? I'm not having any function here. Let me just go ahead and differentiate what the variable. I'm going to add variable to what? To be 2x, right, plus what? Plus 3. That's what I'm going to have. So let me just go ahead and simplify this expression. I'm going to have what? Divided by the x, right, to be equal. I'm going to have 4 open bracket s squared plus what? Plus 3x raised power what? Of 3. Then open the bracket again, 2x plus 3. So this is going to be the answer, right? Now let's go ahead and solve one more question. So let's take a look at the last question I'm going to have here. We are given y equals to exponential x into bracket s squared plus 1 or raised power what? Of 5. And if you look at this zero, this is actually what? A product rule question, and at the same time, we are having a composite function at the same time, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use product rule, because at the time whereby I'm using the product rule, we are going to be incorporating composite rule at the same time. Composite function, like composite differentiation method at the same time. Now let's see what we're going to have here. We're going to have u to be equals to exponential x and v to be equal. We're going to have s squared plus 1 or raised power what? Of 5. Now if you look at this area, everything here is what? Is a composite, right? So that's what I'm going to use composite to do, or to differentiate. So in that case, I'm going to have the u, the x to be equals to what? Exponential x, and the v, the x, I'm going to have to be 5 open bracket s squared plus 1, right, or raised power what? Of 4 times what? Here is going to be 2x. So that shows that dv dx in this case is going to be equal 10x open bracket s squared plus 1 or raised power what? Of 4. Right? Now the next thing I can do is actually to go ahead and recall that whenever I'm having a product, I'm going to have dy by what? By dx to be equals to what? V du dx plus u dv dx. Right? So that's what I'm going to be having. Now in that case, this is a composite function. I've actually find the derivative. So what I'm going to do now is actually to go ahead and let me simply say I need to go ahead and simplify a little bit here, right? So in that case, let me just cut this guy off here. Let me cut it off, right? So look at this. From that case, that shows that our dv dx is actually what? 10x open bracket s squared plus 1 or raised power of 4. That's what we have. So let me just cut this guy as well off so that we can add space. So in that case, if I'm finding my dy by the x, divided by the x in this case is going to be equal v. Our v is actually what? S squared plus 1 or raised power of 5. Then multiply what? Du dx. Du dx is what? Is exponential x, right? Then plus again, we are going to have u. U in this case is actually what? Exponential x. Then multiply what? Dv dx. Dv dx is actually what? 10x, right, open bracket x squared plus 1 all raised to the power of 4. That's what you have. Then in that case, if I simplify, my divided by the x is going to be equal. We're going to have, you can factorize exponential x actually. Exponential x, open a big bracket here. We're going to have s squared plus 1 all raised to the power of 5. Then we're going to have plus 10x, open bracket s squared plus 1 all raised to the power of 4. Then you can now close it with the bracket. So this is going to be what the answer. It's very, very simple, right? So that's what's about this video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It's very, very important. And also, you can actually check our playlist for all that differential question. It's very, very, we have a lot of questions on our playlist. So check it out. You are going to love it. Thanks for watching.